Now again, a very important, interesting topic that we have taken today. Russia pulls out of P-75 project. P-75 is a very important project for prelims as well as for mains, and that is why we have taken this. Now what is the problem we are going to look into? Because this was one of Make in India's largest project. Indian government's Make in India's largest project. But now the future of P-75I, basically not P-75, it is actually P-75I. I means indigenous or India. Okay. So there are two projects, P-75 and P-75I. The Russia has now pulled out of P-75I. Okay. So P-75I is submarine project. What is P-75 or P-75I? It is related to submarines. Okay. After Russia pulls out, France also pulled out. In the previous month, in May, France also pulled out of the this P-75I submarine project. The reasons for pullout are the timeline that has been set is very small, by 2030, technology transfer clause, and hefty penalties if the timeline is not met. So these countries have said that completing these demands becomes very tough for them, and that is why they cannot move forward with this project without making any change into the project itself. Now you can see this is a submarine. Okay, this is a submarine. Submarine is a specific boat which dives inside the water, and then it stays inside the water for a very long period of time. Like at nuclear submarines, for example, can stay for months, for 2-3 months below the water without even coming up. Okay, so this is because they are air independent propulsion. They have air independent propulsion systems. Air independent means they do not need air from outside to propel themselves. Okay, so that is an air independent propulsion system. But all submarines are not air independent propulsion systems. They need oxygen from outside, and that is why they need to come out of the water for after some period of time. Okay, so I believe you could see what is this. So background, the news background is, in 2021, the defense acquisition, last year, the Defense Acquisition Council basically issued the request for proposal. Request for proposal means when the government intends to look as to see which companies are going to bid for its tender, then it issues request for proposal, or RFP, and then after viewing the companies, it issues tenders, right? So the Defense Acquisition Council is a very important body we'll be looking at in the end of this slide. Okay. So last year in June, the Defense Acquisition Council issued the request for proposal for building 6 indigenous conventional submarines. Now, 6 indigenous conventional submarines. These submarines are not nuclear power. They are conventional diesel electric submarines. Okay. Now, Project 75I, it was actually approved in 2007. Okay. During the Kargil War in 1999, after the Kargil War of 1999, Indian government decided to take on the submarine manufacturing. Okay, because India also has a naval border with Pakistan, and of course to counter the China's threat also. Now Indian submarines have blocked Karachi, the port of Karachi, and it has caused a lot of trouble for Pakistan. Keeping that in mind, Indian government started modernization of and indigenous manufacturing of. They had this plan of 30-year plan, it was called, basically from 2000 to 2030, that we will be adding 24 submarines in our fleet. 24 submarines, out of which 18 will be diesel electric and 6 will be nuclear powered. The main aim was that we will be adding 24 submarines, which will be which will be the state of art. That is specifically 75I. This whole project, that is called 30-year construction project, that was referred to for the construction of 24 submarines, the whole fleet for Navy. These 24 submarines, out of these 24 submarines, 6 will be nuclear powered, 18 will be diesel electric. Okay. Now, what happened was yes, it was conceptualized. But as happens with India, the project did not take off until 2005, when Project 75, there were actually two simultaneous projects to be implemented, P75 and P75I. These two would be what? Simultaneous production lines for production of submarines. Now P75 was important because it was, according to P75 guidelines, the submarine was to be constructed in India in partnership with a foreign original equipment manufacturer. Original equipment manufacturer means a company which originally manufactures something. Okay, and it was in collaboration with Indian sub-Indian companies as well. Now Project 75I was, on the other hand, was a more indigenous, it was a project that included more indigenous content in that manufacturing, along with the technology transfer protocol, that not only they will manufacture here, they will also transfer technology to India. Okay, the project envisages indigenous P75I basically envisages construction of six independent submarines equipped with state-of-art air independent propulsion systems at the cost of 43,000 crore. Currently, India has 15 conventional diesel electric submarines classified as SSKs and one nuclear ballistic submarine classified as SSBN. Okay. Now let's look at what the position of India is in the field of nuclear submarines. Okay. So one important news again here is that this is the flag of Navy. It has a George's cross. Now it has been removed and Navy has issued a new flag. Kindly go and watch it. So these are all non-nuclear submarines. They are basically classified into three classes: the Kalvari class or Scorpion, France, and Shishu Mar class, that is made by Germany, and the third one is Sindhu Ghosh class or Kilo class, that is taken from Russia. Okay, that is taken from Russia. So India had its first submarine back in 1967. By 1969 we had 4 submarines, and in the war against Pakistan in 1971, these submarines worked very tirelessly for Indian government, like for India's benefit, and then we realized that we need to have more submarines. Okay, now all of these are non-nuclear. They all have diesel electric propulsion systems. Okay, they need to come out in the air. Okay, they are not air independent propulsion systems. Okay, now INS Kalvari, Khanderi. Kalvari class mein we have 2, Kalvari and Khanderi. Then Sindhu Ghosh in Kilo class, that the submarine that we have taken from Russia. In that class we have Sindhu Ghosh, Sindhu Ratna, Sindhu Vijay, Sindhu Kesari, Sindhu Dhwaj, Sindhu Kirti, Sindhu Rashtra and Sindhu Raj. All are Sindhu Ghosh class. Okay. Shishu Kumar we have 4 and Kalvari class we have 2. Okay. Now this is Arihant class. Arihant class is a indigenously developed nuclear class submarine. Yes, and that is called SSBN, ballistic missile submarine. Ballistic missiles, there are 2 kind of missiles: ballistic missile and cruise missile. Cruise missiles are those missiles which have their own guided systems. They once projected into air guide themselves. Like BrahMos is a cruise missile. Okay, BrahMos is a cruise missile. But this nuclear powered submarine, it is capable of launching ballistic missiles. Okay, ballistic missiles are those missiles which are thrown at a specific angle, like a ballast, or like if we throw a stone, it cannot guide itself. Its fall will be decided by its angle of projection and the force with which we throw it. Similarly, this specific submarine can launch it can launch ballistic missiles. It is capable of launching ballistic missiles, but it is driven by nuclear power. Since it is driven by nuclear power, it can stay afloat for a very long period of time, because there is a nuclear reactor inside it. So which is powering it. So it does not need to come up for refueling. Okay, that is a drawback in case of diesel electric attack submarines, where they have to come to the port to refuel themselves after a period of time. Let's look at the development of submarines in India. In 1967, as I said, first submarine was INS Kalvari that we took from USSR. Okay, and by 1969 we had 4, and we used them in the 1971 Indo-Pakistan war. Then in 1981, from 71 to 81, a decade passed and no action was taken in the field of submarines. In 1981, India bought 4 submarines of Germany, Shishumar class. Okay, these 4, right? Then in 1986, we again took more submarines from Russia wali Kilo classes. Okay, and then this, after the 1999 Kargil war, we formulated this 2000 to 2030 30-year construction project of P75 and P75I. P75 started off in 2005, okay, at Mazgaon dock, okay, and the France DCNS is a company, French company, which is manufacturing submarines at Mazgaon dock limited in collaboration with a domestic company, okay, and vendors. Now currently P75 has delivered 3 Kalvari class. Kalvari class means Kalvari class means the Scorpion class. Scorpion means the ones we took from Russia. Kalvari class. Oh, France, sorry. Okay. Sorry. And P75I is yet to take off. P75I was given cabinet note back in 2007. 14 years have passed. The project has still not taken off. Now the timeline for this 2030 was 2030. Of course, it is going to be breached. P75 is one of the 2 lines of submarines like that was conceptualized back in 2000. The whole construction strategy for 30 years. There were 2 lines, P75 and P75I. Construction with technology taken from overseas firms. The contract of 6 submarines was given to DCNS. That is, DCNS is a French company. Under P75, we have INS Kalvari, Khanderi and Karanch, and INS Vela have been already commissioned. Like 4 have been commissioned out of 6, 2 are remaining. The Vagir is under sea trial and Vagshir is the 6th. This is under construction. Okay, its construction was delayed due to pandemic. So that was P75. P75I, under P75I, 6 conventional diesel electric. Conventional, when we talk about, that is diesel electric. Okay. So under P75I, Navy will build 6 conventional diesel electric submarines that would be bigger than the P75. Okay. We'll have air independent propulsion system. Air independent propulsion system means they will have fuel cells. Fuel cells will generate oxygen. Okay. That means they will not have to come up for taking oxygen. That means they can stay submerged for a very long period of time. Okay. The project is India's first under strategic partnership model. Now, what is strategic partnership model? We'll be looking at the government will give contract to one Indian strategic partner along with the original equipment manufacturer. Now, strategic partnership model is having 3 basic important components. The first one is technology transfer. The second one is original equipment manufacturer and Indian company. Now, strategic partnership means creating such a partnership which will help India strategically. Okay, which will help India strategically. How? The main aim of strategic partnership model is to develop local or domestic competencies in the field of submarine manufacturing, for example. For that, we need to take in some Indian companies. Okay, for example, L&T. Okay. L&T is one such company that is that the government has shortlisted to be a Indian strategic partner of the original equipment manufacturer. Now, original equipment manufacturer, some countries have been shortlisted. For example, Germany, Russia, and South Korea as well. And these countries will bid for making the specific submarine, and the company which wins. And see, there are a lot of components inside a submarine. Okay, there are a lot of components. To develop specific competencies, what the government has asked is that one company will be awarded only one thing. That is, for example, some company is making structure, so that company will be awarded only structure. some company is making nuclear reactor, that company will be awarded only nuclear reactor. That means the whole submarine will come up with a collaboration of a lot of expert companies which are expert in their specific domain. And some companies the government has shortlisted, private companies in India, they have shortlisted who will be utilizing this collaboration to increase their technical competencies in the form of manpower. Okay, they will develop specific skills, technical skills, and after a point in time technology transfer will also happen. Technology transfer means that the technology that these specific companies are utilizing, they will after a point of time, for example after 20-year period, they will also transfer that technology to India. That means India will now be having technically trained personnel and technology as well. That will be a very important, that will be a great milestone for India's indigenous manufacturing development. Okay. Now strategic partnership model has been implemented only in 4 specific domains: fighter aircraft, helicopters, submarine, and armored vehicles. Okay, the government for the time being has allowed strategic partnership into only these 4 areas. Okay, and DRDO can facilitate a technology transfer after some period of time with the original equipment manufacturer. I believe you understood this whole scenario, what the structure is, what the scene with India's manufacturing of this submarine is. Now in the very beginning, I said that in June 2021, the Defence Acquisition Council approved the request for proposal for manufacturing of submarines under P75I. Now what is Defence Acquisition Council? Defence Acquisition Council is a specific body within the Ministry of Defence which takes the ultimate decisions of capital procurement for the defense forces. Capital procurement means what kind of defense equipments will be procured. That decision is taken by Defence Acquisition Council. Okay. Most importantly, it also approves a 15-year long-term integrated perspective plan for defense forces. Integrated perspective plan means apart from acquiring ammunition, apart from acquiring tanks, apart from acquiring fighter jets, apart from acquiring these ammunition, it also gives in principle approval to 15-year, what is the 15-year strategy for integrated defense of the country. That is also approved by Defence Acquisition Council. And this 15-year long-term strategic integrated defense plan for country, that is a very important strategic plan that is charted out by the integrated command of the defense forces of like Navy, Air Force and Army, right? And it is chaired by Defense Minister. It categorizes the acquisition proposal of buy and make and make. Buy and make are: buy means if something is to be bought from other country, that is buy. Buy and make means if a specific proposal, for example manufacturing of howitzer, for example, we are taking a hypothetical situation. Howitzer is a gun, artillery gun. Now if for example if government wants to manufacture a howitzer and they are taking help from Israel, so in such condition, buy and make. First we will be buying from Israel and then we'll be making it indigenously, and that kind of agreement is called buy and make. And then the make means the complete domestic manufacturing along with design of that specific equipment, that is called make. Issues related to single vendor clearance. Decision regarding offset provisions in the respect of acquisition proposal above rupees 300 crores. Offset provisions means the buy and make have offset provisions. Offset provisions are specific in the sense that some percentage of total like the government will only procure those specific ammunition, for example, which have a certain percentage of domestic manufacturing. That will give boost to the domestic MSMEs. Okay. Decisions regarding transfer of technology under buy and make. Of course, all these decisions are taken by Defence Acquisition Council. Okay, so I hope you understood what the importance of Defence Acquisition Council is. Okay, that was all for this P75 project and why has Russia pulled out of it. We'll be taking a new lecture now.